Today we are going to be talking about resilience in older women. What do you consider old? Please know that the views that we will be talking about is not they're from different outlets and not necessarily global women enrichment views. So let me just put this out there. Do not let age define you. You define your age. You are as young as you feel. If you feel 20, you would act 20. If you feel 75 and you're only 40, you would act 75. So, what age do you consider old? Sandra?
There's no old, there's maturity. You know, the concept of resilience in older women is it means you have to go through something to build resilience. So if you think about a child, a teenager, a young adult, if they have been through some stuff in life and they have developed resilience, they're not old in the way we defined old, but they have had experience. So I would say resilience in the experienced woman, because we experience things all through our lives. Right. And we build because resilience can only be built through experience. You know, so that's how I would say, you know, even though the topic is as you say it comes from a place of experience.
Correct. Laura?
It's funny because the more I grow, the more I think older is another number and another number and another number.
I love it.
And now as I look at it, I know 83-year-olds that to your point, you would think they were in their 50s, right? Because they just have this spirit of life and this loving, and they're so active and they just don't stop. Listen, I was at a party recently, and I saw this woman dancing. And my friend and I were like, wow, look at that woman dancing. And my friend goes to me, she's 93. I said, get out of here. And she's like, no, she's 93. Here's the funny part. So we're watching this woman dance, and this other woman walks up to us and says, are you checking out my son? And I'm like, what? And she's like, You're looking at the couple dancing. I'm like, no, darling, we're checking out that lady who I just found out is 93 years old. And look at how amazing she looks and the moves that she has. And it was her daughter. So it was her mom and her son dancing. And we just had this conversation. And she said, my mom has always had this youthful spirit. She's always been about, being in the middle of everything and enjoying everyone, her family. You see her dancing with her grandson. And this woman, she looked amazing. And she said, yes, she's at 93. She doesn't want to stay home.
All right.
She wants to come out and go to the parties with us and do things. So I think that it is a number.
It is.
And if you let that number define you, then you will be old.
Yes. That is right.
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
And that you guys answered my next question, because the next question was, do you see age as a number, or do you categorize it by the way you feel and carry yourself? Mm-hmm. Okay? For me, I am forever young. Anyways, have you noticed that there is a bias with gender when it comes to aging? If a lady over 50 dresses a certain way, what the comments would be, she thinks she's young. If a man over 50 dresses a certain way, he's distinguished looking. If a woman works until 70, something must be wrong with her mental state. If a man works until 80, he is admired. If a man 75 dates a 25-year-old, he is a stud. If a woman 50 dates a 30-year-old, she's a cougar rocking the cradle. So there seems to be a lot of different rules for men and different rules for women. So, ladies, what do you think? Any comments on 75-year-old men dating younger women and vice versa?
All right, I'm just gonna go there. If you're a 75-year-old dating a 25-year-old, is she a gold digger? Let's be real. What would a 25-year-old see in a 75-year-old? unless he's like really, really hot or something, you know, I mean, I just bring it up because there are so many things that you don't have in common, right? So would you see a 75-year-old woman dating a 25-year-old man?
But we do see, I know we have seen a lot of 70, 78, 79-year-old have 30, 35-year-olds.
Oh, yeah.
We have seen that.
Oh,
so it's still a
I know-
40-something year
I
difference.
know couples like that. So, you know, and then I think if you say, okay, have things in common, not a gold digger, then age is just a number then.
Dr. Brown?
I am sitting here thinking, listening, thinking what we used to say, and I'm thinking that everyone makes a choice and they live with that choice. I cannot see what an older gentleman would have in common with a younger woman. I just don't get it. And vice versa. Unless you're focusing on just certain things, whether it's material and money, position, or
Sandy,
sexuality.
let's just go there. It's sex.
Okay,
Like,
so
come on, let's just go there.
but
It's
if you
sex.
have an older man with a younger woman, what is she getting from him?
Hey, listen, he may be rocking it.
Okay, so let's say this then. So then it
Medication.
boils down
Or not.
to each person's choice. I know for me, it's not going to be that way. I want someone who is in the same generation as me, understands and loves the same things I love. I don't judge anybody. You know, if that works for that coupleship, then that's fine. And I agree with you. He's distinguished, so is she. If she's older and has a younger man, I think that's awesome if she wants to do that, you know?
I saw a couple, this man had lost his wife, had died, his wife had died, and he was marrying this girl, I think he was like, I think 58, and she was in her 20s, and she had a little boy, and so of course, you know, they were coming for her on social media, but then there were those who were also saying, let the people be, they are not hurting anyone.
They're living their
They're
life.
living their lives. And this one girl, she said, hey, I'm 30. If the 83 come up to me and he's treated me right, I'm
Exactly.
done with it. So
Right.
at the
It's
end of the
choice.
day, it's, I guess if the people are happy and they are treating each other with respect and they do really love each other, I mean, who are we to interfere and say they shouldn't be together? Because
I don't think anybody has the right to do
Right.
that. Whatever it is that brings them together, whatever it is they're looking for, be it sex, be it money, be it prestige, you know, depending on who that man or woman is. I know I'm not going to be no sugar mommy for nobody. And I am not looking for a sugar daddy. I want to make my own money.
You've got Lance, who's an
Right?
amazing man.
Right. But the point I'm making is, so I'm not really in that sphere to appreciate it and understand it. But I respect the families who do that. I will not have anything negative to say. And
so let me ask you a question. If your son, your oldest son, had picked up with someone your age, how would you feel about that?
thank God he's married and I don't have to
but
think
I'm
about
just
that.
saying, just
I have not
hypothetically.
given any thought to that. I have a patient whose son has an older woman in his life, and I watched her struggle with that. He's in his 20s, she's in her 40s. And I watched her struggle with that. And recently I spoke to her and I said, how are things going? And, you know, we talked about it a little bit. And I said, he's living his life. You need to love your son and love the people he loves. And that's it.
That is true. too.
Let him be, because you know what? You've done your job. He's an adult. He's made his choice. You don't have to live with her. He needs to live with her. She may be a wonderful woman who takes very good care of her son.
You have a beautiful teenage daughter. If she comes home to you one day and say, this 45-year-old person is checking me out, what would you
And
say
I
to
love
her?
him.
And I love him, right? What would you say to her?
Well, so here's the thing. I think there comes a time, and I'll go to where you started, maturity. right? So I don't think that a 19-year-old has had the maturity to really say the 45-year-old is who I want to be with, right? Fast forward, she's out of college, she started her life, and now she's saying, okay, you know what? That I do want to be with someone 20, 30 years older than me. Is that what I would prefer as a mom? No, simply because of what's been lived is a very different reference point. That said, if he's an amazing man that respects her and loves her and treats her like the queen that she is, then yes. I mean, if that's who she loves, then that's who I have to love.
Right.
Right? And
Right.
some people may say, well, you don't have to. Well, guess what? I choose to use that word have to because I love my daughter and I want to see her happy. I don't believe that if you are still a teenager, you should be with a 45-year-old. I don't. I think that the level of maturity in really understanding how I want to be treated as a woman, you're still developing that. And I would flip that and say from my son's perspective as well. You know, I think that there comes a point in time, whether we're talking about couple relationships or just woman friendship relationships or such, where age disappears, right? Because you have a level of maturity where the age no longer matters. But going to the question that you asked, my 19-year-old, yeah, I would have a problem with a 19-year-old with a 45-year-old.
Well, I think we need to draw the line with what is appropriate. It's inappropriate for a teenager or a young adult to be involved with somebody that much older.
Right.
It's not appropriate.
But that's the thing. But society, or should I say, the legal system, consider an adult 18. You know.
And it depends on your upbringing and what your parents teach you and what, where you're coming from. Our children are going to make their choices. And as hard as that is, we have to live with it.
And I think that brings up a point, and going back to where I said have to, it is a choice, right? And we also have the choice of, do we want to keep our children close, or do we want to use our own expectations and push them away? Right? So what you're saying, it's not appropriate for us, but it may be appropriate for someone else.
Right.
And therefore I choose that whoever my children want to be with, I will do my darndest to embrace them into our family, as long as I see the respect.
Right.
And not respect on my terms, but respect on the terms that my daughter and my son have decided for themselves.
Right. And I think we need to educate. Let's say we're really faced with that. We need to educate. What are going to be the expectations 10 years from now, 5 years from now? Again, I'll give you the example of a very good friend of mine who is dealing with a situation that includes health issues. And he said to me, I knew it would come, but I didn't expect it this soon. And I said, therein is the issue. Therein is the question I'm asking you. How are you doing? Because I know he didn't anticipate that this health issue would be here versus 10 years, 20 years from now.
Right.
So how are you going to deal with that? So we have to educate our young people, educate our young women that when you make choices, what are the consequences? What are the long-term issues we have to deal with? If you're 30 and you marry a 60-year-old, you will bury him unless God has it planned that you go first.
Right.
So I don't know, but Celine Dion comes to mind.
Yeah, I think her husband was a lot older.
And that was the most powerful relationship. Yeah. And he was older. He cared for her, treasured her. But she knew the day would come when he'd be gone.
Yeah.
And she would be with her son and he wouldn't be there. And it affected her because they were so bonded, so in love, so one.
Right.
And so we have to prepare people that if you make these choices, there are natural consequences.
I know a couple where she is 20 years younger. And they married when she was in her, it was after 25 years of age. And you see them together. I don't know what he does, but he's managed to really stay young at heart and in everything. And when you see them together, you wouldn't say, oh, there's a 20-year difference.
Right.
Right. And he treats her like a queen. And she's still very much in love with him. And they make a great couple.
Right. So it all boils down to the individual.
To the individuals, right?
And the values.
The values, right? Now, for me, it's I think it all depends on your morals. You know, I mean,
Let's
age
say
is not
values.
your values, right? Age is only a number, yes, but I think there's a method. There's still it's method to the madness.
So how
And
do we get
resilience.
into-
I don't know how we get
how
into
do we
that.
get into
Let's
full
let's
couple?
wind
Let's
it
bring back.
around.
Yeah, but
to
let's spin it
resilience.
back around to
Right.
resilience. Do you know that older women population is outgrowing every category of the human race? Why do you think that is?
Because we are experienced. We go through crisis differently than men do. We have to, you know what? I was thinking about this. And we go through so much from childhood, the demand, the pressures on us as little girls to accomplish, to become somebody other than the valuable person of raising your children. But I grew up with the sense of I needed to be independent. I had to work. I had to make money. I wasn't sitting down waiting on somebody to bring it to me. So from the very get-go, from you're finished with high school, maybe even through high school, you're learning resilience. And as we grow, what are we doing? We spend our entire lives taking care of everybody.
That is true.
It teaches us resilience. And it is a fact
It is a fact. So
that
face
we
it.
live longer.
Yes. So face it, women are multitaskers. They work, they give birth, rear children, care for the sick, cook, clean, and the list goes on and on. They have voices and they are smart and resilient. They do not give up or back down, not even when they're sick. They keep going. So my encouragement to all women, you can do whatever you want to do and be whoever you desire to be, regardless of your age. As long as God gives you breath, continue to strive and put your best foot forward. Know that you are special, and we here at Global Women Enrichment stand with you and admonish you to be empowered, encouraged, and enriched. Let your resilience shine through.
And remember, check us out at GWEnrichment.com.